Hello and welcome to Message in a Moment. It's my joy to come to you wherever you are in the world. We're in the United States of America, really in the deep, deep South state called Alabama. And you may be in a beautiful place today. You may not be in a place that is so beautiful. But wherever you are, I want to tell you that God loves you and He has a plan for your life. And in the teachings of Jesus, which is what I'm going over, I'm in Matthew chapter 6. And I'm talking to you from verses 25 through 34, where Jesus tells His followers, I don't want you to be worrying. Worrying, anxiousness, worry, it's an interesting thing because if you really stop and try to define what it means to worry, worry means to try to cross a bridge before you get to it. How am I gonna respond when I get to that bridge? Am I gonna pass on the right or on the left? Am I going to go down the middle, or is it going to even be there when I get there? And somebody one time said it's like sawing sawdust. You get your saw and there's nothing to saw. You're just making sawdust in it, just a mess. But see, worry will stop you wherever you are because it's not letting you fulfill the day because you're thinking about the tomorrows of your life. So Jesus said, I don't want you, my followers, to be worried about anything. And He uses simple things. Jesus did not try to come to earth and use great big flowery words so nobody could understand Him. He talked about lilies of the field. He talked about birds of the air. He talked about hairs on our head. He talked about how tall we are. And He said this, I don't want you worrying about your clothes. I don't want you worrying about what you're going to eat. And I don't want you worrying about where you're going to live. And that's when He started talking about the birds and the lilies, and the hair. He said, have you ever seen how beautiful a lily is? And everybody was thinking, yep, we've seen them. Maybe even He was standing there on the side of the hill, and maybe there were lilies right there, and He was pointing to them, how beautiful the lilies were. And He said, Solomon, in all of his splendor, richness, richest man in the world, he didn't look as good as that lily. So I don't want you worrying about what you're going to wear. And He said, look at the sparrows of the air. Have you noticed those sparrows? They're not out planting the harvest. They're not out digging up a furrow and putting seeds in the ground and watering it to make sure. He said, but your Father sees that the sparrows have food. And He says, don't you get the picture? God cares about all of His creation, and you are part of His creation. And He said, the Gentiles, that's all people who are not of the Jewish following, all of them demand that they have all these things. I've got to have a place to stay. I've got to have my food, and I've got to look nice in my clothes. But Jesus said, here's what I want my followers to do. I want my followers to have an earnest desire to seek God's kingdom and Him, His righteousness. And when you do, He said, my Father knows that you have need of food and clothing and shelter. And when you seek Him and find Him, He adds these things to you. He doesn't just give you a little shirt. He gives you a closet full of shirts. He doesn't just give you a little morsel of bread. He gives you a table full of food. Because you're not seeking the food, you're not seeking the shirts, you're seeking Him. And it says, He adds these things to you. And then he concludes his teaching by saying, do not get concerned about tomorrow. Today has enough in it to keep you occupied. Well, I trust that your heart today is leaning toward God, and Jesus wants to come and fill your heart with Himself. Till we meet again, God bless you.